Watched last night's Democratic debate, including Vice President Joe Biden, who still hasn't decided whether he is going to run. Joining me now is Democratic strategist Hillary Rosen, whose firm advises Democratic candidates and the DNC. And I saw her in Vegas. I can't believe she's still awake. Charles Hurt, Washington Times columnist, and Democratic strategist Angela Rye with us as well, former executive director of Congressional Black Caucus. I'm so happy to have all of you here this evening. Hillary, you first. You know, talk to me about the Bernie and the Hillary email moment from last night, because you heard what Hugh Hewitt just said. He says it is too soon for Democrats to breathe easier on this. Is this and Benghazi, that hearing coming up, is that still going to be a big issue?
Well, it's a big issue for everybody in some respects but Democrats. And people all day have been talking about what a gift Bernie Sanders gave to Hillary and when he did that email moment. But, you know, it was actually pretty good for Bernie Sanders, too, because right now we've got three legs of the Obama coalition that these candidates have to compete for. There's, you know, young people, there's people of color, and there's women. You know, Hillary Clinton's got two of those in the lead, and Bernie Sanders has one of them with young people. They have to talk to each other's voters. They're going to have to get each other's voters back to their side. So Bernie Sanders did himself a big favor with Hillary Clinton supporters last night. And, you know, I think he united Democrats in that moment. It was electrifying.
Do you agree, Angela?
I do agree. He also did himself a financial favor. We know now that he's raised $1.3 million as a result of saying the American people don't give a damn about your emails. So he's done himself a huge favor, I would say.
Yeah, and he's raising, I think he's raised like $2 million since then, plus, $2 million plus. You know, Charles, you called Bernie Sanders a Neanderthal, and you say that he should move to Sweden, and yet he has raised nearly, as I said, $2 million since this debate. Since that moment last night at the debate. First off, why is he a Neanderthal?
Well, I mean, anybody who calls himself a socialist, I'm sorry, even if you try to cut it by calling yourself a socialist Democrat, socialism, do you know how many people have died under socialism in the past 100 years? A lot of people have died, and I'm not talking about the people that have gone around murdering people. I'm just talking about because it doesn't work. And so he can dress it up as democratic socialism if he wants to, but it's still... He has always defined himself as a socialist.
I'm not sure you can see Angela and Hillary's faces here with their reaction, but I'll go to Angela first and I'll let Hillary weigh in. Go ahead, Angela.
Yeah, I think the one thing I've been saying kind of all day is that I thought it was interesting that he took the definition back into his own hands. He definitely did not define socialism as we all know it, right? Bernie Sanders created his own definition, just like he created his own other moment at that debate. So I don't really know why I would call that a Neanderthal. I think that one interesting thing that I would also say is we know that President Obama has been called a socialist throughout the tenure of his presidency, and it's never been as endearing as it has been with Grandpa Bernie as it's been in this debate. So.
Hillary Rosen.
Look, you know, Republicans are going to talk about how all Bernie Sanders wants to do is give away taxpayer dollars to people who don't deserve it.
Stuff, right?
But here's the thing, you know, Donald Trump and every single Republican nominee is talking about giving away tax breaks to rich people. So you tell me who deserves it more, you know, kids who can't afford to go to college, you know, poor people who can't get health care, or rich people needing more tax breaks. It's still the same federal budget. Just because one's a spend and one's a tax break doesn't mean it's not a
I think it's a great idea, Hillary,
so, you know,
to end all of the welfare stuff. I think that's terrific, and in fact I agree with you. I think we should do it to corporations before we do it to poor people or whatever. But
Hillary,
going back to what the thing that
let Hillary finish her thought. She wasn't finished.
Okay.
Go ahead, Hillary.
Well, Sanders just has a tough road. I don't think that this country is ready for an actual socialist. On the other hand, people actually like the idea of taking care of the little guy, of figuring how to help the middle class and not the 1%.
But people, Hillary, also wonder
if he can move that forward, he's going to be popular.
But people also wonder how he's going to pay for all of that, which is a very legitimate question.
Yeah, and Hillary Clinton called him on that last night. Bernie, you're going too far. You know, too far on college affordability, too far on Social Security. You know, and so that, you know, that's a debate that Democrats are going to have. We want to win, and we want to be practical, and you know, busting the budget like the Republicans are going to do with their tax breaks is not going to be something the American people are going to want.
It was a good question last night. Do you think that this country could actually, Charles, elect a socialist? I know he defines, as Angela said, defines it in his own way, but would this country ever elect a socialist?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of have a hard time seeing it happen. And of course, going back to the thing that Angela was talking about, and I think she makes a very good point about President Obama. The big difference there being that President Obama would never describe himself as a socialist or even a socialist. Yeah, and I'm just saying that just because other people call him that doesn't mean that you know the situation with Bernie Sanders is a step farther. And I do think that it creates a real problem for him. In any sort of general election campaign, and even in a primary where smart Democrats are going to be like, wait a minute, I don't know if we can take this show on the road beyond, beyond Vermont, maybe.
Yeah. Do you think they can do it, Angela, beyond Vermont? And I just have 20 seconds left here.
Sure. Really quickly, I think the most important thing for us to acknowledge is that he is resonating with some aspects of the party. There are folks, just like in the Republican Party, who don't want to see politics as usual. So I think it's very important, regardless of who the nominee is, to figure out how you put that coalition together and you ensure that you're talking about things much differently than you have in the past. Okay. We had a very progressive debate last night.
Thank you all. I appreciate it. I'm going to ask that question again. Can a Democratic socialist ever win the White House? A congressman who is endorsing Bernie Sanders for president says yes to that. Next, he tells me why.